Since the earliest times, the oceans have been seen as one of the most mysterious places on the planet. Even with all modern technology, it is estimated that a large part of the ocean depths still remains unexplored, hiding creatures and phenomena that science has barely begun to understand. Amid this vast submerged world, a legend has crossed centuries, cultures, and civilizations, that of mermaids. Over time, these stories were treated only as myths or illusions. However, in different parts of the world, new records began to emerge. Videos captured on the seabed, witnesses who claim to have seen something impossible, and even investigations carried out by television programs have reignited a question that many believed had already been answered. What if mermaids are not just a legend? And that's exactly what you're going to see here today. So leave your like, click the subscribe button below, and let's go. In 2013, a video began circulating on the internet showing what was supposedly a mermaid approaching a submarine and placing her hand on the vessel's window. The scene quickly drew attention because it seemed to have been recorded by real submarine cameras on the open sea, giving the material an air of authenticity. The case gained even more traction for having been associated with a special aired by the program Mermaids, The New Evidence, or Mermaids The New Evidence, broadcast by Animal Planet in 2013. The problem is that many people interpreted the content as if it were a traditional documentary, when in fact, it was a production in the format called docufiction. This type of program mixes staged interviews, real scientific theories, and dramatizations with visual effects to create a narrative that seems plausible. In the specific case of the Mermaids, the special used CGI, computer-generated imagery, actors, and elaborate scripts to simulate a scientific investigation into the possible existence of these creatures. The repercussion was so great that many people believed the channel was presenting real evidence. After the broadcast, there was a significant increase in online searches about mermaids, and various viewers questioned the veracity of the content. Later, it became clear that there was no scientific proof or authentic record of a marine humanoid creature interacting with submarines. The story of the so-called Fiji mermaid has a direct link to the long tradition of mermaid illusions that began in the 19th century among Americans and Europeans. In this narrative, the program revisited the legend of the Fiji mermaid as one of the historical pieces of evidence that individuals would have found or displayed mermaid remains in the past, something that would have fueled the Western public's fascination with the idea of these beings. The original Fiji mermaid was one of the most famous frauds of the 19th century. After all, it was not a real creature, but a fabricated artifact created by stitching parts of a monkey onto the body of a fish, which was exhibited with great pomp in museums and shows in the United States and Europe during the 1840s. The American showman known as P.T. Barnum, an emblematic figure of the era's exhibition circuses and the culture of curious attractions, popularized this mermaid in his American Museum in New York, using it to draw crowds and increase revenues, even knowing that it was not a real being. These types of fabricated creatures were called Fiji mermaids because they were said to have been obtained in the Fiji Islands. The original piece itself ended up disappearing, probably in one of the fires that destroyed collections of the time, but replicas and accounts continued to circulate, helping to cement the popular idea that mermaids could exist. Another alleged mermaid sighting was filmed by a cameraman near a beach and began to go viral on the internet due to the bizarre appearance of the supposed being that was recorded there. Upon arriving at the location, the tourists spotted something moving on top of a rock and, curious, thinking it could be a seal or sea lion, zoomed in and ended up recording something bizarre. A macabre creature that even looks alien but with fins seemed to be resting there, further fueling the idea that it could indeed be a mermaid sighting. After the supposed video was shared, many internet users commented on the theory that it was a hybrid being of mermaid and alien, which of course is just a theory with no confirmation whatsoever. More skeptical people claim it is merely a CGI edit to attract attention. Fishermen who were out fishing on the high seas supposedly captured a mermaid accidentally in one of their fishing nets. The images filmed by one of the fishermen show what would be the mermaid, with a grayish tone and a very strange appearance. She thrashes around, tries to break free, while the fishermen hold her and try to keep her restrained in place using a lot of force. After all, her strength in the images seems to be well beyond that of a mere human being, since it took the combined effort of several men to contain her. The struggle with the mythical being and its macabre appearance drew the attention of internet users.
Watch it. Press down. Damn thing's too strong.
Play to the eyes, man. Jesus.
Keep it pinned, don't let it roll.
Despite being impressive and, in a way, frightening internet users, many obviously began to question the authenticity of the recording, raising the idea that it was probably a person in a costume or a mermaid generated by computer graphics, which ended up not being confirmed. The external security cameras of a residence recorded another alleged mermaid sighting that wanted to take advantage of the pool and even the sauna at the location for a bath in the early hours of the morning, with nothing unusual at first. However, at a certain moment, a woman arrives at the location in a strange manner, removes her clothes, and jumps into the pool. She dives, and after some time, it is possible to see, on the glass surrounding the sauna, a very strange hand with membranes resembling that of a fish. As if that were not enough, at the bottom of the water, it was possible to see the woman swimming with a body shape that seemed to have changed, since she apparently had a tail and fins, raising the theory that she was, in fact, a mermaid who could disguise herself as an ordinary human being. The strange movement in the house's leisure area, along with some noises, would have caught the resident's attention, who went to the location as recorded on the cameras. With a flashlight, he investigates the pool, the sauna, and finds nothing. But after he goes back inside, the woman appears, emerging from the pool and leaving. A man walking along a beach found something very strange at the edge of the sea, and as he got closer, already filming everything, he could see what it was, supposedly a mermaid trapped in a fishing net. He turns on the camera and approaches the body lying there, caught in the net. Up close, we see that it really was a mermaid in the way we know them, and how they are portrayed, in this case half woman and half fish. Curious and frightened by what he was seeing, he begins to remove the net from on top of the mermaid so he can view her better, and also moves her hair aside to be able to look more closely at her face, since she seemed lifeless. The video began to circulate on the internet, generating a lot of buzz, especially after it was confirmed that it was real footage, without editing. However, later it was confirmed that, in fact, it was a woman in costume, an artist who dresses up this way for events and performances. One of the most curious stories involving mermaids that recently went viral on the internet is linked to an alleged mermaid mummy displayed in a traveling attraction of macabre curiosities. The piece is part of the exhibition called The Cryptic Collection of a Mad Clown, or translated, The Enigmatic Collection of a Mad Clown, which is part of a traveling event in the style of a horror show, a large festival dedicated to strange items, macabre art, taxidermy, and objects considered bizarre or mysterious. This event tours several cities across the United States and brings together artists, collectors, and exhibitors who present unusual pieces, such as stuffed animals, bones, dark art, and alleged mysterious creatures. Within it, there is a kind of mini museum inspired by the old curiosity shows of early 20th century circuses. This themed area features objects supposedly rare or mysterious, gathered as if they were part of the abandoned collection of an eccentric clown who supposedly lived in an old traveling carnival. Among the most talked about attractions in this collection is precisely the so-called mermaid mummy. The object appears to show a dried out and preserved creature with a humanoid body on the upper part and a fishtail on the lower part. Photos and videos of this piece began circulating on social media, which led many people to believe that it could be a real preserved body of an unknown creature, in this case, the mythological mermaid. Some men were on top of a cliff at the edge of a beach in Israel. They were enjoying the view and the sea when they noticed something strange on top of a rock down below, already out in the ocean. Unsure what it was, they tried to identify it and realized that the silhouette of what was there looked like that of a mermaid, which, as we know, is half woman and half fish. Quickly, one of them grabs his cell phone to film, impressed by the situation, and when zooming in, they managed to capture it a bit better, making the supposed appearance of the mythological being even clearer. However, the supposed creature somehow seems to realize it was being watched and throws itself into the water, returning to the depths of the sea.
What is that? Oh my God! What is that? Did you just tell me you got that?
Video made by the men was shared and became one of the most watched and famous videos when it comes to supposed mermaid sightings. Since the image did not focus clearly on the being that was down there, many people questioned whether it could be a sea lion. But what about you? Is it really a mermaid or a sea lion? A video recorded by a drone has been circulating on the internet, leaving even more hopeful the people who seek to prove the existence of mermaids. The camera was exploring the open sea off Dana Point, California, when it came across what seemed to be fish swimming in a group, but the impressive speed at which they were swimming drew attention. In addition to the unusual speed, it was also possible to see what supposedly would be arms on these beings, thus ruling out the hypothesis raised by many that they were dolphins. Another situation raised is that, despite supposedly not being dolphins, the beings were all swimming at the same unusual speed, much greater than that of dolphins according to information, thus they could not be humans. The only option that ended up remaining, and the most talked about, obviously, was really yet another sighting of mermaids, which this time were in a group. The video stayed on the internet for some time, and several theories began to arise, until the American channel Apex TV debunked what happened and discovered that it was in fact a group of dolphins, something that everyone already suspected. The video was originally made by the channel Dolphin Safari, which intended to show the animals. According to the channel, the dolphin's fins rubbing against the water give the impression that it is an arm, but in fact they are only fin. It was also emphasized that they can swim at very high speeds, which for those who have never seen it, ends up really being impressive. In 2019, British biologist and presenter Jeremy Wade, known for investigating mysterious aquatic creatures, presented an episode of his series Jeremy Wade's Dark Waters, in which he went to South Africa to investigate reports that, according to local residents, could be linked to mermaids. During the program, Wade traveled to coastal regions and rivers in South Africa to investigate recent reports about a strange creature described by some witnesses as being half human and half fish. These reports were part of ancient legends from the region, which have long spoken of mysterious beings living in local waters. On location, the presenter spoke with residents and fishermen who claimed to have seen unusual creatures or humanoid figures swimming in the water. In addition to oral accounts, Wade also analyzed drawings and old records, which depicted mermaid-like aquatic beings, reinforcing the idea that stories of this kind have circulated in the region for many generations. The program's investigation sought precisely to understand whether these stories could have any real basis, or whether they were merely interpretations of natural phenomena.
Dusky cob. This is what I was after, and it's a good size one.
Dusky cob spend most of their life in the sea.
Throughout the investigation, Wade raised several hypotheses to explain the reports. He considered the possibility that large fish or other marine animals seen in low-light conditions or from a distance could have been mistaken for humanoid creatures. At the end of the episode, one of the most plausible explanations put forward was the presence of a large fish known as the dusky cob, a species that can reach about 1.8 meters in length and that, when seen briefly in the water, could cause confusion with something stranger. In 2013, a group of tourists were taking a boat tour in Majorca, Spain, when one of them, who was recording the entire route, ended up catching something very strange. In the recording, it is possible to see that, on a rock far in the background of the image, a being, let's say, different, seems to be sunbathing. The tourist takes a little while to notice, but when he does, he zooms in on the image, making it very clear that yes, supposedly it was a mermaid there sunbathing. The footage shared by him, of course, went viral on the internet, generating various theories about it. After the video was shared, many internet users began to raise theories about what it could be. One of them is that of a possible statue on the rock at the location, but nothing is official and the mystery remains in the air, which sometimes ends up being remembered. A camera attached to a man's kayak was recording his fishing at sea when, suddenly, something very strange appeared in the background of the footage, behind the kayak, and then disappeared again shortly afterward. The recording later shared by the man really shows something submerging from the water farther in the background, resembling a tail, and because it disappeared right after, many people once again began to raise the theory of a new and supposed mermaid appearance. It's not possible to know, in fact, what is appearing because it's very far away, and it is precisely for this reason that it ends up opening possibilities for theories surrounded by mystery. The man who was on the kayak notices the movement, but when he looks, he no longer sees anything, only the water moving. Upon seeing the footage, he decided to share it, probably imagining that countless theories would be raised. More skeptical people who do not believe in the existence of these mythological beings believe it to be some fish or shark that passed by there and went away. A curious theory presented in the special Mermaids, The New Evidence, aired by Animal Planet in 2013, was the so-called aquatic ape hypothesis, used by the program as a possible scientific explanation for the existence of mermaids. During the documentary, the producers raised the idea that mermaids could be a species derived from human evolution. This hypothesis suggests that at some point in evolution, human ancestors would have spent long periods living in aquatic or coastal environments, which would have caused physical adaptations over thousands of years. In the context of the program, this theory was taken even further. The producers suggested that a group of these hominids would have remained in the marine environment and continued evolving in the ocean, developing characteristics of their own for aquatic life. According to this narrative presented in the series, these beings would have lungs similar to humans, hands adapted for swimming, and bodies more akin to marine mammals, resembling dolphins or seals, instead of the classic image of half human and half fish. This idea was used in the program to try to connect historical reports of mermaids with a possible evolutionary explanation, suggesting that these aquatic humans could have survived in deep and little explored areas of the ocean. A video that recently went viral on the internet shows what would supposedly be a frightening encounter at sea involving a vessel, often described on social media as belonging to the United Kingdom's Coast Guard, and a mysterious creature that some internet users began to associate with a mermaid. In the footage, recorded at night and in a very rough sea, it is possible to see the crew with a flashlight seeming to search for something in the water while what appears to be a luminous and unusual being moves near the boat. Upon noticing that, they seem to get frightened, and one of the guards goes to the other side of the boat to try to find the being, which disappears into the darkness. He points the flashlight to the other side, but nothing else was there, thus indicating that it had only passed by and did not want any kind of contact. With the video accumulating millions of views, several theories began to emerge on the internet. Some people claimed that the images could show a mermaid or a mermaid siren, a marine folklore creature described in many cultures as a humanoid being that lives in the depths. Other users suggested more realistic explanations, such as large fish, seals, or other marine animals that could look strange when seen quickly at night and amid the waves. Another unusual and quite curious video was made by a man who reportedly saw a mermaid in the flesh right in front of him, resting on a rock at the edge of the sea. Upon spotting the creature, he grabs his phone, starts recording, heads toward it, and stays there for a while, admiring it as it appears with its back turned, apparently resting at the spot. When it notices his presence, it turns around, shows its rather macabre face, and doesn't seem to like being filmed at all. So it jumps and dives back into the sea, disappearing from view. Of course, it didn't take long for the video to cause a stir and go viral among internet users, most of whom doubt the recording's authenticity, claiming the use of CGI or artificial intelligence to create it precisely for the purpose of drawing attention. Don't forget to subscribe to watch more videos like this.